I know. Look, guys, I know I'm late to this, but I just have to talk about it. So, about a month ago, Yiheng Wang shocked the cubing world when he broke his own 3x3 average world record with a time of 4.03 seconds. And while this is an incredible accomplishment, the craziest part is, it was actually kind of a disappointment. You see, for a while now, the cubing community has known that a sub 4 average is possible, and at this competition, Yiheng could have done just that. But despite a few incredible solves, there were some things holding him back, such as this absolutely painful 7.28 solve, but we'll get to that later. For now, I'm gonna break down every single one of Yiheng's solves in this average to truly uncover what went wrong. So this was the first scramble of Yiheng's average. I'll put the scramble up here if you want to see it. I'll do that for all the solves as well. So he does a yellow cross, and he sees that these pieces, these cross pieces, are all correctly oriented. He could actually just solve this cross with just R and D moves. He also sees this red and green pair in inspection that he wants to preserve. So he solves it like this. He does an R prime to match up this piece being a D2 away from being solved, with this piece also being a D2 away from being solved. Then he does a D prime R to put this piece in correctly. Then a D2 R D to solve the rest of the cross. That preserves this pair, which you can put in as any normal person would put in a pair like this into the back. But there we go. Yiheng is very good at slotting things into the back to avoid rotations, but maybe I shouldn't speak too soon because he actually does do a Y prime rotation to make this orange and green pair easier to solve, but I'll give him credit, this is his only rotation in the entire solve. So what he does is an R, U, R prime to put the pair together, and then he inserts it into the back like that. Now, from here, he has a solved red and blue pair, and while a lot of people, probably including myself, would just insert the pair and worry about this later, he does not do that. He actually solves the orange-blue pair first, while making sure to preserve the red-blue pair. So the way he does that is R prime, U prime, R. Then he has both of these pairs solved. He can insert one, and then the other, which leaves him with this really nice OLL case with all of the corners already solved, not just in terms of orientation, see all the white sides are facing up, but also permutation. So he knows that after doing this algorithm, he will just have to do like an EPLL, like a Z perm or U perm or something. So he does the standard case for that, and then he's left with a U perm. And he did that in 3.57 seconds. Now with solve number 2 is where things get crazy because this was also a sub 4. This was a 3.81, making this a counting sub 4, which really, who else but Yiheng, man? So he starts on white cross this time. He does a U, R prime, F to solve these 3 pieces. I mean, this one in the back was already solved, but to solve these 2 pieces. Then for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but instead of just doing a D and inserting like this, he actually does a U2 after the D, inserts it from the left like this. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that. Maybe some cubers more advanced than me can see why he did that. If so, feel free to leave in the comments for everyone to read and learn from, but I genuinely don't know why he did that. And then a D prime, making this a 9-move cross, which for someone known for their efficiency, surprised me to see a 9-move cross from Yiheng, but you know, maybe he had other reasons for doing it. Either way, that didn't hurt his solve too much since it was a sub 4 solve. So let's get into F2L. He solved this pair here, which he can insert very simply like that. And actually, what he did was he's canceled into this double sexy move to insert this orange-blue pair as well. Then he solved this pair, which he could insert into the left without rotating. The interesting thing is the way I would do this is like that, and then have this kind of awkward case for the last pair. What he did instead is he inserted it like this with a sledgehammer at the end, making this a free pair that he could rotate, insert, cancel into OLL, and then do PLL, all in 3.8 seconds. So at this point of the average is when it starts to get real. I'm sure with accounting 3 under his belt, Yiheng knew that he could break the world record and possibly even get the first sub 4 average if he really pushed himself and got some really insanely good solves on these next couple solves. And I'm sure the pressure and nerves were on. And I say that because this next solve had a ton of lockups from Yiheng. If you look at the solve slowed down, it's clear that he's not turning at his usual TPS. His cube is locking up. It was all over the place. But as it is, this wasn't such a great scramble anyways. I can't really see any good cross solutions. What he did is he solved on white. He inserted this red-white edge normally. Then he did a D2. From this point, he could have inserted all of these other pieces with an R, L, F prime. But before he does an F prime, he does a U prime. And then he turns D and U at the same time. The reason he did that U prime before is to set up this 3-move insert right here. So he does that. Then he does a really impressive solution for this blue-red pair. I think this was really brilliant when I saw it. I would have never thought to do this in a million years. He actually solved it straight from the back. He builds that pair there, puts it in. This may have been obvious to some of you who are faster than me and have better F2L. I just would never have seen that. Then that sets up this pretty easy green-orange pair. Then he rotates, does kind of a standard insert for that pair. Then he does a U2, does OLL, and then he does another U2 for his PLL, which is an A perm. But as he's doing the alg, I'm not sure if he just wanted the solve to be done and over with already, but he forgets to do this last AUF, and he stops the timer with a +2. So a lot of people might assume that this +2 is where the average went wrong. I mean, when you're at Yiheng's level, a penalty like that is enough to absolutely ruin a solve, but I don't think so. You see, even if Yiheng had done that AUF and avoided the +2, the solve would have still gone over 5 seconds, making it the worst solve in the average, and it would have been eliminated either way. If you don't know, the way the WCA calculates averages is they remove the best and worst solves and just take the average of the middle 3, and it's exactly because of outlier cases like this. So I don't think the third solve is what ruined Yiheng's average. I think what really went wrong happened a bit later on, but before we get to that, I'm sure you want to know what cube this is that I've been using this whole video. This is the GAN 14 Pro. It used to be Yiheng's main, it's my current main, and I truly can't recommend it enough. If you want to pick this cube up, or literally hundreds of other speed cubes, you can go get it at speedcubeshop.com, the sponsor of this channel. And if you want to save some money on your next order, you can use my code TEBO for 5% off. Anyways, now on to solve 4. Will Yiheng be able to bounce back from that embarrassment in solve 3? Well, to answer that question, allow me to show you one of the most out-of-the-box, genius solutions I think I've ever reconstructed. You see, Yiheng starts on white cross, but I shouldn't really say he started with a white cross. He does a D, L, D prime, U2, L prime to solve 3 pieces of the cross and this blue and orange pair. And then instead of inserting this white-red edge to make kind of an X cross, no, he sees this pair already made, so he decides to go ahead and do that. Then he sees this pair already made, and he decides to go and insert that. And then he inserts this cross edge, making this a triple X cross. If you know anything about the CFOP method, you know that sometimes it's convenient to make an X cross instead of a regular cross, where you add one F2L pair during the cross. In really lucky cases, you can make a double X cross. I don't think I've ever done a triple X cross like this, or even heard of it being done. So to see it done by one of the world's best cubers in competition is simply incredible. From there, the solve isn't too crazy. He just inserts this last remaining F2L pair, then does OLL and PLL, both pretty simple, making this a 3.32 solve. This means now he has 2, not 1, but 2, counting 3-second solves. And with his +2, 7.0 whatever fail, not counting, he still has the chance to make this a sub 4 average and make cubing history. So regardless of that +2 mishap he had earlier, it really all comes down to this. He starts with a yellow cross, but he actually starts with yellow in the back. He does an R2 and then rotates, then finishes off the cross like this. Then he solves the red-blue pair like this into the back. Then he sees this orange and green pair, solves it like that. And then to solve this red-green pair, he rotates just like I would have done, solves it like that. And then he rotates again to solve this orange and blue pair. We have Yiheng Wang doing 2 rotations in a single solve. Then, just like normal, he does OLL and PLL. Overall, a pretty unremarkable solve. Feels like there wasn't anything super out of the box here, except maybe that cross solution. But honestly, I feel like most of these F2L solutions and OLL and stuff I could have done in one of my solves. Obviously, not as fast or with as much look ahead, but with what we know Yiheng is capable of, this seems pretty tame in comparison. However, this solve was a 4.70 from Yiheng and was not enough to break the sub 4 average barrier. And of course, it didn't help that he locked up a bit during this solve as well. Not as badly as with solve 3, the one where he got the +2, but there were some pretty bad lockups here that probably took fractions of seconds away from his time. I'm sure this was an incredibly high pressure moment for Yiheng, so I don't blame him at all, but it just leaves a big question mark in the air of what could have been if he was really performing at his top potential for this average. So now we know how Yiheng Wang almost made cubing history with a 4.03 average. Do you think the sub 4 barrier will be broken anytime soon? And if so, who do you think will do it? The reason I'm asking is because there is another Chinese cuber who might be even faster than Yiheng someday. He just broke the 3x3 world record, and if you want to learn more about that, you can click here.